The Cardinals whip out the brooms in Cleveland. Does Sonny Gray deserve NL Cy Young consideration? Let's talk about it. I'm Locked on Cardinals.
You are Locked on Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked on Cardinals, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and hit that notification button. Now available on TikTok and Instagram at Locked on Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans of baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So what a weekend it was for the Cardinals, who earned a series sweep over the Cleveland Guardians. Whoop, whoop. 7-0 beatdown on Sunday, which is why you get the ugly, nasty shirt that I'm wearing again today, which still has, I don't think I've washed it this year. It's not like I wear this thing around all the time after I do the show. Like, it's not like I'm wearing it out to bars and golfing or anything like that, although I could get away with it, I'm sure. But the Cardinals, an impressive series in Cleveland. The win gives them the 3-game sweep and wins in 7 of their last 10. They're 47-38 overall, which puts them 2.5 back of the Cubs and a half game back of the Brewers in the NL Central. They currently have the 3rd wild card spot in the National League. It also extended their road winning streak to 6 in a row and moved them to 500 on the road at 21-21. Who thought that would ever happen? I mean, that's a big deal considering how the season started. Remember, they lost, 11 of the first 13 games on the road. They lost, and now they're back at the 500 mark. Climbed back into it, made up a bunch of ground. So that's obviously a big deal. And while the Cardinals had this successful weekend, you had guys that are ahead of the Cardinals, like the Mets, lost 3 straight to the Pirates, whom the Cardinals are going to face now. That puts the Cardinals just 1 game behind them for the number 1 wild card spot, with the Brewers at number 2, a half game ahead of them. So the Cardinals are there. They are there. And we're a month away from the trade deadline. So we'll see how things continue to go. Obviously, the series in Chicago is going to be a big deal over 4th of July weekend after splitting with them at Busch Stadium, but got to worry about the Pirates first. Don't look ahead. It's a big mistake when you do that, so don't do that. But the Cardinals are right here, all right? And they took care of business this weekend, and as much as losing the final 2 games against the Cubs was a bummer, especially not being able to score any runs whatsoever, seeing the boys take care of business in Cleveland against a struggling Guardians team has to make you feel good about what the Cardinals are doing in 2025. So it's okay to be happy right now. You can enjoy what's going on with the Cardinals at this moment because nobody expected it. Let's start with the good stuff that we saw over the weekend. The starting pitching in games 1 and 3 were exactly what the Cardinals needed from their number 1 and number 2 pitchers, Sonny Gray and Matthew Liberatore. There really isn't an argument to be made about which 2 guys lead this staff anymore. Coming into the year, I would have said Sonny Gray and Eric Fetty were your 1s and 2. Matthew Liberatore has exceeded every expectation that I had, just being honest. The decision to take a chance, move him to the rotation, something I questioned in spring training because he hadn't proven that he could do anything as a starter, that I was completely wrong. They made the right move. Credit to Ollie and Mo and Heim and Dusty Blake and whoever else was involved with this decision-making, because it has worked, and it's worked huge. Since those games against the Royals and the Blue Jays where Libby was working through the fatigue issue and the mechanic issues, he had 3 starts against both Chicago teams, now Cleveland, and is 3-0. He's averaging 6 1/3 innings per start, 1.89 ERA. He oddly had 5 walks on Sunday, which is not the norm by any means. Only the 2nd time this season that he's walked more than 1 batter in a game. And then you got Sonny, who had that incredible effort on Friday night, one of the best games of his entire career, complete game shutout, 89 pitches, 11 strikeouts, just a thing of beauty. Sonny had the rough game against the Milwaukee Brewers where he got popped for 6 earned and 8 hits and 4 1/3. Didn't like that. But in his other 3 starts in the month of June, he's gone 20 in the third innings, 1 earned run, and has 21 strikeouts. And I got a text from Chuck from Locked On Brewers who was like, Sonny Gray, Cy Young boats? And I chuckled. I chuckled at Chuck. I laughed a little bit because I don't think anyone is thinking about such things when it comes to Sonny Gray. I certainly was not. I don't know anybody else who's like, yep, Sonny Gray, NL Cy Young. He'll think about it. Who's been talking about that? Nobody. And I text back to Chuck. I go, you're cute, Chuck. And then I was like, you know what? He's been pretty consistent. Obviously been the Cardinals' best pitcher overall so far. So let's look into the numbers real quick. Sonny Gray is 8-2 on this season. Those 8 wins are the most in the National League. Bet you didn't know that. Side with a slew of people. Clay Holmes from the Mets, Freddie Peralta from the Brewers, Brandon Pfaadt from the Diamondbacks still has 8. Nick Pivetta, Robbie Ray, good pitchers. None of them I would think are like superstars by any means. Robbie Ray's got a Cy Young already, but then you go to strikeout leaders in the National League. He's well behind the pace there, but not like embarrassingly far back. Mackenzie Gore leads the way with 129. Sonny's at 101. That puts him 12th in the National League, so he's got some work to do there, but he's got a respectable 9.70 strikeouts per 9, and this is where he really shines. Strikeouts to walk ratio. He's got the second best strikeouts to walk ratio among starters in the National League at 5.94. Spencer Schwellenbach of the Braves is the only one who's got a higher one. Then you've got the ERA, 3.36. Puts him 16th among starters. The Pirates' Paul Skenes, who the Cardinals will see in Game 2 of the series against the Pirates, leads at 2.12. So should Sonny Gray get votes? Probably not. A lot of work to be done, as I mentioned, to be spoken of among some of the great pitchers that are in the National League. You know, for him to even sniff consideration, that ERA has got to be lower. But really what his problem has been that's making things look worse than they actually might be is the big blowout games that he has suffered. He's had 3 of them. Milwaukee, Philadelphia, where he gave up 7 runs, and then he gave up 5 against the Angels. You remember way back when in that grand slam by Logan O'Hoppe. So those 3 games alone had made the numbers worse. They count all the same. I'm not saying you can just delete them and go, well, this is who he really is. No, those games count. And I tried to do the math again. And if my calculations are correct, if you did take those 3 games away, just for fun, let's say they never happened, they never existed. According to my calculations, Sonny Gray's ERA would be 1.92. 1.92. Think about that. 3 games have made that much of a difference. And the Cardinals still won 2 of those games that he took a beating in. Won that Angels game. That was the Ivan Herrera 3 home run game. And then you got the Phillies game where they just clobbered Aaron Nola. Remember, that was like a 14-7 win, but neither pitcher could do anything right. The ball was just flying that night. So, and in the starts that Sonny Gray makes for the Cardinals, he's had 16. The Cardinals are 13-3 in those games. So, Cy Young? Probably not. Probably not. But all-star worthy, I think so, for sure. Because people were asking me, what are the all-star guys for the Cardinals? And I'm like, I don't know. Brendan Donovan? Is that like the only one, really? They're not loaded with superstars by any means, but I think now looking at Sonny Gray deserves consideration to be at the all-star game in Atlanta. We're going to talk about the offense next because the Cardinals bats came to life, thank God, in Ohio. Plus, we're going to dip into this Pirates preview because they just had a heck of a weekend against the New York Mets. So we got all of this and more coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights or golf on the green or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. You wouldn't be listening to a baseball podcast right now if you weren't somebody who followed the action already. But why not make it a little more thrilling if you're going to be doing it anyway? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are out there doing whatever they are doing to waste time, whether it's getting sunburned at the beach or camping or whatever they're doing. I don't know how people do it. It's gross. I've been using FanDuel for years to track my favorite matchups, and the app, they do a great job of keeping everything fresh with new daily promotions, fun ways to bet. So it just never feels like you're doing the same thing over and over and over, because that is boring. FanDuel is not boring. They keep it fresh. Super easy to use. You're going to get a fast payout when you win, which is awesome. And it even makes regular season games feel like must-watch events. So whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're part of the action. And if you are new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want feedback. Always welcome and encourage. I love hearing all the positivity coming out about the Cardinals right now. A lot of the trolls have quieted down a little bit. I think they're starting to turn as we get closer and closer to the halfway point where they're like, all right, maybe these guys aren't so freaking bad. You know, maybe they're not. We know the Cardinals bats fell into a coma over the last couple of games against the Cubs. Didn't score for, 2.5 games? And with Cleveland starting a couple righties in games 1 and 2, I was hoping we'd see the bats wake up a bit, and that's exactly what happened. They got home runs from Pedro Pajes and Alec Burleson in that first game to get the offense moving again, and then Nolan Arenado had a pair of 2-out hits, drove in runs to win that first game 5-0. Cardinals only got 7 hits in that game, but they made the most of them. Right? They made them count. They go 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They played winning baseball in that game. And of course, you're riding off of what Sonny Gray is doing on the mound. And, everybody's just in a good mood when that's happening. So a lot of fun in game 1, mostly because of Sonny Gray. Not so much because of the offense, but still 5 runs on 7 hits. If you score 5 runs a game, normally you're going to win. Game 2, they had to come from behind after grabbing that early lead. First pitch home run from Brendan Donovan, which was awesome. It's always cool when you can get off on a good foot like that. Hasn't really, when you look at Brendan Donovan, hasn't really thrived at the top of the order since moving up there. Hitting just .231 in the leadoff spot with an OBP of .305. Not great leadoff numbers. Things were better with him in the 3-hole and Newt at the top, but Ali had to make some adjustments when Newt was scuffling along there. So that's where he's at. I don't think he's going to stay there as soon as Newt gets going or gets healthy, because he's dealing with a bunch of stuff per usual. All-Star break probably couldn't come at a better time for Newt with the things he's dealing with. So, but the Cardinals, they're down 6-1, after Michaelis got clobbered in the 1 inning. But they roar back thanks to, you get the 2-run bloop hit by Alec Burleson, who's had a tremendous June. Cuts the lead to 6-3, and then in the 6th, they get the 5 straight hits, which starts the comeback. Eventually, they take the lead 8-6. But as great as the hits are, and I love them, don't get me wrong, but also I want to point out in that inning where you got the productive outs that were made by Brendan Donovan and Mason Wynn to drive in runs. They brought in the 7th and 8th runs to give the Cardinals the lead, which they would never relinquish. Villain Willie adds a mammoth home run late, and the Cardinals score 9 total on 14 hits. Great offensive showing in that one, especially when you're down 6-1. And they talked about it on the telecast, where this is a team that, even though they were down 6-1, you're like, there's a ton of ball game left. And this is not a team that just rolls over. This is not the Cardinals from the last couple of years. It's different. There's a different vibe about them, and they fought back. It was also Milestone Day at the ballpark, apparently. Rookie Matt Swanson got his first major league win. Phil Maton records his 500th strikeout in his career. Wilson Contreras notched his 900th hit. Ryan Helsley recorded his 100th save of his career. Another comeback win gives him 21 on the season. Last year, the team had 33 all year. Got 21 already. 33 all year last year, which is why people feel the way they do when they watch these games and they get down and they get behind. You're probably still feeling some PTSD from last year where you're like, well, we're screwed. This team's not going to come back. It ain't them. It's different. Things are different around this team right now. So 21 comeback wins which is top 6 in Major League Baseball this year. Then on Sunday, the Cardinals struck early again against a lefty, no less. We know about those struggles that they've had against the left-handers. Talked about it last week. Mason Wynn gets the walk. Willie singles, and with 2 outs, it was Nolan Gorman, lefty on lefty, who swats one 428 feet away from home plate. A missile for his 7th home run of the season to make it 3-0. Only hit of the day for Gorman, but you're seeing with regular playing time and more consistent at-bats, he's shining here in the month of June. Let's break it down from the start of the season through the end of May. So basically the first 2 months, Nolan Gorman appeared in 32 games. 32. That's it. Had 106 plate appearances and hit 189 with 1 home run to 9 RBIs. So everybody's down on him. Everybody's like, he sucks. Other people are asking, where the hell's this runway? Problem was the Cardinals were winning, and there wasn't a spot to get him into the games. In June, now that you've had some injury issues and you've had to move some people around, in June, Nolan Gorman has appeared in 24 games. So almost as many as he's appeared in the first 2 months of the season, has 89 plate appearances, almost as many as he had through the first 2 months, and now is hitting 267 with 6 home runs and 16 RBIs. This is the runway that they were hoping to give Nolan Gorman at the beginning of the season. And the inability to make any deals and move some people, hello, Nolan Arenado, prevented that from happening. So now that there's been those adjustments and you're seeing him, you see a confident Nolan Gorman at the plate. You're seeing him take better at bats. Again, the strikeouts will always be there. Get over it. That's just who he is. But I will always say, as long as he's producing with the power, you will take those strikeouts. 6 home runs and 89 plate appearances. Yeah, you're going to take that. This home run was also significant because although the Cardinals threatened plenty in this game, they never scored again against Logan Allen, the left-hander. They jumped on him, and then Logan Allen kind of figured him out. Again, they threatened a few times, but they never got anybody across the plate. It wasn't until the 7th inning when Victor Scott struck for a 2-run shot off of the right-hander, Hunter Gaddis, that the team would score again. Victor Scott, also a guy who had struggled mightily over the last month. On May 23rd, our guy Victor, we love him, was batting 283. And then from that point up until Saturday's game, he was hitting 146 with 33 strikeouts and 97 plate appearances. So it was good to see him get that big double on Saturday and then the 2-run home run on Sunday. He ends up with 4 hits over the weekend after only getting 4 hits over his previous 9 games. The Cardinals tack on 2 more late. You get another sac fly from Pages. Love productive outs. And then the newest favorite punching bag, Garrett Hamson gets his first RBI with the Cardinals with a rocket smash single in the 8th inning. Kidding. It was 68 miles per hour. It was a flare, but it worked. It got down. It drove in a run. And it wasn't, 1 at bat earlier, or maybe it was 2 at bats earlier when he failed to get the bunt down and stuff that I was like, not impressed with this Garrett Hamson guy. And yeah, he ends up coming through here. He's playing a lot more recently, and that is because Jordan Walker is out. And they need a right-handed bat to be able to play against some of these lefties. And that's why you're seeing him play more. I do wish Jose Barrero was still around, and I would rather see him in this spot, but he's not. So there's no point in bitching about it. It is what it is. Garrett Hampson's our guy right now, and he's filling in. Has looked fine defensively, which is what he's supposed to be good at, but offensively, kind of stinky. But he gets that hit there. So an RBI, good for you, Garrett Hamson. Shout out to the bullpen for the Cardinals as well, who got the night off on Friday, thanks to Sonny. But Saturday, after Michaelis got mugged by the Guardians offense, that inning was so fugly. They hit for the cycle in the inning against Michaelis. You don't see that every day. But the bullpen comes in and does what they need to do. They reel off 5 scoreless innings on Saturday. Maton working out of that 2-out pickle. Very stressful, but no harm done there. I tweeted it out. I was like, if Phil Maton, if it got released, if Phil Maton became a serial killer, it wouldn't shock me. The guy has no emotion out there. He is just stone cold, focused. And I meant that as a compliment. He is just focused. no emotion. Then on Sunday, bullpen, 3 more shutout innings. They have a clean series. They don't give up anything. Offensively for the series, I mentioned Victor, 4 for 12 with the home run. Alec Burleson got the day off on Sunday. Nice to get him off his feet and give him a breather. 3 for 9 with a home run. Wilson Contreras, 4 for 12 with a home run. Gorman, 3 for 12 with a home run. Mason Wynn was 5 for 13. Pedro Pajes, 2 for 6 with a home run. Nolan Arenado, 5 for 12, reached that 1,900 hits mark and 400 doubles for his career on Sunday. Hall of Fame career for sure, although he had to leave for precautionary reasons due to a jammed finger. And you saw that he was like messing around with his finger after a play at third base. Said he thinks he initially did it when he tripped running around the bases. Had a couple of stumbles there, but hopefully he'll be okay. He just got a lot of contributions from a lot of different parts in this lineup, which is what makes this team, when they're going well, makes them a very annoying team. You can't just focus on 2-3 guys and think that you're going to beat the Cardinals that way. When they can release a lineup that's got, you break them up into segments. You got the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When you have threats in all 3 of those segments of the lineup, it's annoying. It's pestering. It wears people out. And that's what the Cardinals need to do to get wins. And just about everything they did this weekend, outside of that one bad inning from Miles Michaelis, there wasn't a whole lot to complain about. I know the base running in the one inning on Sunday was disgusting, where Paez wasn't it Paez, I think, that like tippy-toed around second and got gunned to third, and then Victor gets picked off, and you're like, what in God's name just happened this inning? There's so much hope, and then it just fell apart. You don't want to see that stuff all happening, but there's going to be mistakes from time to time. They are going to happen, and luckily enough, the Cardinals pitching and the offense later on were able to overcome that stuff. All right, need to keep it going because we're heading into Pittsburgh to face a Pirates team that just swept the New York Mets and then just sweep them, like embarrassed the New York Mets. We're going to talk about it all coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Myself and John Frisch from Locked On Angels will be hosting the next 3 nights. So if you get a chance, come on by. Say hello. Pirates sweep the Mets. And as I mentioned, they do it like beat the snot out of them. These games weren't even close, you guys. 9-1 on Friday, 9-2 on Saturday, 12-1 on Sunday, 12 hits on Friday, 12 on Saturday, 16 on Sunday. Good grief. It sounds like offense that you would see like in Colorado type of stuff. So, yeah, great time for the Cardinals to show up at PNC and have to face them after they just did that to the New York Mets. And you know the names. There are no secrets about who the Pirates are. Ke'Bryan Hayes, Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, Andrew McCutchen, even our old friend Tommy Pham, all did a lot of damage in this series against the New York Mets. But for the season, if you didn't look at the last 3 games, for the season, this hasn't been a very good offensive team. It just hasn't. Before this series against the Mets, the Brewers took 2 out of 3 from them. The Mets have been reeling, by the way, so it's hard to trust whatever's happening to them. Crazy to see how the Mets have fallen off recently, but you had the Brewers took 2 from them, the Rangers took 2 out of 3 from them, Tigers took 2 out of 3 from them, Cubs took 3 or 4 from them. Like the Pirates were in no way, shape, or form looking like somebody who was even a threat to the Mets. This was supposed to be a get-right weekend for the Mets, and the Pirates turned it on them and just pummeled them, just creamed them. But normally, the Pirates are a very beatable bunch. But after seeing what they did this weekend, you know how it is. They got momentum. They got, they have positivity going on. They believe in themselves right now. They think they're a really good hitting team right now. And that goes a long way. Makes them a much more dangerous team than you would expect. tonight's starter is lefty Andrew Heaney. You know how the Cardinals struggled with lefties for most of the season. Hopefully they built a little something off of that inning against Logan Allen, but it wasn't, they didn't have a ton of success, but they did put some hits together, string some hits together. So hopefully that'll get them on the right track. Heaney has not really been that great. 3-7 on the year with a 4.48 ERA and has gotten hammered in back-to-back games by the Tigers and the Brewers. Gave up 7 earned in both of them. But before those 2 games, his ERA was in the 3s. Like, he wasn't having a terrible season. But the last 2 games have been really, really bad for him. Cardinals did not face them so far this year, but he's got an odd split to be aware of where lefties are the ones hitting better off him, 286, while righties hitting just 223. Doesn't strike out a whole lot of people. Not like he's got above average stuff. Likes to get ahead in the count. If he gets ahead of you, like, he's kind of in control. I think I saw there were like batters are hitting 190 against him after falling behind against him. So if you see the Cardinals swinging at the first pitch, trying to not let him get ahead of them, you'll know why. But hopefully the Cardinals, with all the lefties that they can provide in their lineup, can give him some trouble if they're all hitting 286 against him so far this year. Got a few lefties in the Cardinals lineup that hopefully can continue with that trend. Eric Fetty for the Cardinals faced the Pirates earlier this year. Remember, he threw a no-hitter for 6 innings before coming out of the game because his pitch count was off, coming off a terrible start against the Chicago Cubs. Has not won a game since May 9th. And I pointed that out last time, and I do want it to be known that it doesn't mean that he's pitched bad in every game since May 9th, because that's not the case. He just hasn't picked up the win in those games, but it hasn't been great for Eric Fetty this year. So hopefully he can conjure up whatever magic that was that he had going against the Pirates earlier this year in May. And tonight's as good as any to get right against them. So why not? Why not, right? As far as the other pitching matchups go for this series, you got Palante against Paul Skenes on Tuesday, although the Cardinals hit Paul Skenes just fine. So I don't know if they're even afraid to actually take on him. And then there's Sonny Gray and Mitch Keller. That's going to be a good pitching matchup on Wednesday, especially with Sonny doing what he's been doing. Mitch Keller is still a very, very good starter for the Pirates. So a little scarier than you normally would think going into Pittsburgh, considering what they did against the Mets. So hopefully they get out to a good start again tonight and continue this trend. Again, 6 road wins in a row. Let's make it 7. Why not? Let's make it 7. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and JD Sports Radio, TikTok, Instagram. Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.